first story. Entitled Cousin Falsely Accused Me of Saw for not helping her sneak out at night for her friend's party. And my delusional family treated me like a criminal, believing cousin's lies. Now the truth comes out. They refuse to apologize and demand I forgive my cousin because she's just a kid. So I cut ties with my family. Now cousin getting what she deserves. I'm not a great writer or communicator, so bear with me here. Honestly, I'm still so angry about everything that it's hard to even put my thoughts into words. If this comes off as jumbled or all over the place, I'm sorry for that. I'm just trying to get it all out. A few weeks ago, my life got flipped upside down because of a lie. I've gone over that night 100 times since, wondering what I could have done differently. But the truth is, there's nothing I could have done to prevent what happened. It still pisses me off when I think about it. It started when my uncle and aunt asked me and my sister, Emma, to babysit my 16-year-old cousin, Lily. Now, babysitting feels like a weird word for a teenager, but they didn't trust her to be home alone while they went to some event out of town. I wasn't thrilled, but Emma agreed, so what was I supposed to do? Say no and look like an arsehole? Lily showed up in full-on brat mode. She was pissed off because her parents wouldn't let her go to some party her friends were hosting. She barely said a word to me when she came in, just threw her stuff down, and glued herself to her phone. I was already over it, but I figured as long as she didn't start any drama, it'd be an easy night. Spoiler, I was very, very wrong. The whole evening, Lily was acting like the world revolved around her. She kept ranting to Emma about how strict her parents were and how they didn't trust her, even though she was basically an adult. Emma, being the people pleaser she is, tried to calm her down by offering to order pizza or put on a movie. But nothing made a dent in Lily's bad attitude. I kept my distance. I wasn't about to get dragged into a teenage pity party. I stayed in my room, working on a project for school, while Emma tried and failed to keep Lily entertained. But Lily wasn't just moody, she was scheming. I didn't know it at the time, but all her complaining about missing out wasn't just venting. She had a plan. It was around 1:30 am when I woke up to my bedroom door creaking open. At first, I thought it was Emma needing something, but no, it was Lily. She was standing in the doorway with her arms crossed, looking annoyed, like I'd done something to ruin her night. "What's up?" I asked, still half asleep. She didn't waste any time. She came right out and said she wanted me to drive her to her friend's house. Apparently, her friends were still up partying, and she didn't want to miss out. It was the middle of the night. Who the hell asks for a ride to a party at 1:30 am? I told her no straight up, no discussion. I wasn't about to get out of bed and drive her anywhere, let alone to some party her parents specifically told her she couldn't go to. But Lily didn't take no for an answer. She started going on about how unfair it was, and how everyone treated her like a kid. I could tell she was trying to guilt trip me, but I wasn't budging. I just kept telling her to go back to bed. After a few minutes, she got pissed. She started calling me selfish and saying I was ruining her life. I was exhausted, irritated, and just done with the conversation. So I told her, "Not my problem," rolled over, and closed my eyes. Eventually, she stomped out of my room. At the time, I thought that was the end of it. I figured she'd cry herself to sleep or text her friends about how unfair life was. I had no idea she was about to burn my whole world down. I slept fine after that. I didn't think twice about our argument. It wasn't even the first time Lily had acted like an entitled brat. But when I woke up the next morning, everything was different. The first thing I noticed was my phone blowing up with notifications. Missed calls, texts, and voicemails from my parents, Emma, and even my uncle. All the messages were vague, but the tone was angry. I thought something happened to Lily. Maybe she ran away or got caught sneaking out. But then I realized Emma and Lily were both gone. The house was eerily quiet. I didn't have time to process much because, around 11 in the morning, I heard banging on the front door. It was my parents, and they were furious. When I opened the door that morning, my parents were standing there, and I could tell right away that something was seriously wrong. My mom looked furious, eyes red, like she'd been crying, and my dad just had this cold, disappointed look. I barely got a chance to say anything before they started laying into me. They didn't even give me context at first. It was just question after question, like rapid fire. My mom kept asking, "How could you do this?" and "What were you thinking?" while my dad stood there shaking his head. I felt like I'd stepped into a nightmare because I had no idea what they were talking about. Finally, I managed to get a word in and asked what the hell was going on. That's when my mom dropped the bomb. Lily had told her parents that I'd done something inappropriate to her while she was staying at our house. I couldn't process it at first. My brain just kind of shut down because it was so ridiculous. It didn't even feel real. I kept asking what she said I did, and my mom just kept saying, "She's 16. Do you know how serious this is?" My dad told me to stop playing dumb and that they deserved an explanation. I tried to tell them my side. I explained how the only interaction I had with Lily that night was when she came into my room at 1:30 in the morning and demanded I take her to a party. I told them I refused and went back to sleep, and that was it. But they weren't listening. My mom was convinced I was lying, and my dad said they needed to verify things. They started going through my room, tearing through drawers and rifling through my stuff like they were detectives looking for evidence. My mom even grabbed my laptop and phone, saying they needed to check everything. I just stood there in shock. I couldn't believe this was happening. My own parents, people who'd known me my whole life, thought I was capable of doing something so disgusting. And, of course, they found nothing because there was nothing to find. But even then, it didn't seem to change how they were looking at me. A little while later, Emma came back to the house. I was hoping she'd back me up, but as soon as she walked in, she looked just as upset as our parents. She told me she'd dropped Lily off at her house early that morning. Apparently, Lily had gone into Emma's room in the middle of the night, crying and saying she wanted to go home. Emma asked what was wrong, but Lily wouldn't explain. She just kept saying she needed to leave. So, Emma drove her home, and everything seemed fine until she got a call from our uncle later that morning. That's when she found out Lily had accused me of, well, that. Emma looked torn, like she wanted to believe me, but didn't know what to think. She said she didn't understand why Lily would make something like that up, and I could see in her face that even she had doubts about me. That hurt more than anything. By this point, I was done trying to explain myself. It felt like I was talking to a wall. My parents weren't interested in hearing my side. They'd already decided I was guilty. My mom kept saying things like, "Why would she lie about something so serious?" While my dad just stood there, silently judging me. Even Emma, the one person I thought might have my back, kept asking, "Is there anything you're not telling us?" I felt cornered, like no matter what I said, it didn't matter. The only thing I could think to do was call my uncle and try to explain myself directly. Maybe if I told him what really happened, he'd actually listen. When I called, my aunt picked up first. She was furious, calling me every name in the book and demanding to know how I could do something so disgusting to her daughter. I tried to get a word in, but she wasn't hearing it. Eventually, my uncle took the phone, and I explained everything. How Lily had asked me to drive her to a party, how I'd refused, and how that was literally the only conversation we'd had that night. There was a long pause on the other end of the line. Then my uncle said, "I'll call you back." I had no idea what that meant, but I was stuck waiting, sick to my stomach, while my parents kept glaring at me like I was a criminal. I knew I was innocent, but at that moment, it felt like the entire world was against me. It took about an hour before my uncle called me back. That hour felt like an eternity, and I could barely breathe by the time the phone rang. When I picked up, my uncle sounded different. He wasn't angry anymore. He sounded, I don't know, calmer, maybe even embarrassed. He started by apologizing. He said he shouldn't have jumped to conclusions, and that he'd just been really upset because of what Lily had told them. Apparently, when she got home, she'd been crying and told my aunt and uncle that I'd touched her while she was staying at my house. Naturally, they believed her, why wouldn't they? But after hearing my version of events, my uncle decided to dig a little deeper. He called a few of Lily's friends and confirmed that there had been a party the night before. Her friends admitted that Lily had been begging them all night to come, even saying she was going to find a way to sneak out. When my uncle confronted Lily with this, she broke down and admitted the truth. She lied. She'd made the whole thing up because she was angry that I wouldn't drive her to the party. I felt a weird mix of emotions hearing this relief, obviously, but also this wave of anger I wasn't prepared for. My uncle was apologizing, but he was also trying to downplay it, saying things like, "She's young," and "she wasn't thinking about the consequences." He even had the nerve to ask me not to take it personally. His daughter had just accused me of one of the worst things imaginable, and I was supposed to brush it off like it was no big deal. After the call, I told my parents what my uncle said, thinking it would clear the air. And sure, they stopped glaring at me like I was the devil. But their response wasn't what I expected. My dad just said something about how things got out of hand, like it was some kind of harmless misunderstanding. My mom looked relieved, but instead of apologizing, She started making excuses. We had to take it seriously, she said. What if it had been true? Emma didn't say much at all. She just sat there, looking awkward and uncomfortable, like she didn't know how to act now that the truth was out. What really pissed me off, though, was that no one seemed mad at Lily. My parents didn't say a word about how serious her lie was or how it could have ruined my life. They just seemed happy it wasn't true and acted like we should all move on. Later that day, my uncle called me again. He apologized a second time, but it felt half-hearted. He said Lily was remorseful and that she didn't realize how big of a deal her lie was. He asked me to let it go because she was young and made a mistake. Mistake? A mistake is spilling juice on the carpet, not accusing someone of a crime that could destroy their reputation, their relationships, and their future. What made it worse was that Lily didn't face any real consequences. My uncle said he had a talk with her about how serious her actions were, but that was it. No punishment, no apology, nothing. Meanwhile, I was left to deal with the fallout. My parents never apologized for assuming the worst about me, and Emma just kept acting like it wasn't a big deal because it all worked out in the end. It didn't feel like it worked out. Not for me. What sticks with me the most is how quickly everyone believed her. My parents, my sister, my aunt, and my uncle, they all just assumed I was guilty. No one stopped to think about who I am or whether the accusation even made sense. And even after the truth came out, it felt like no one cared about what I'd gone through. My mom and dad didn't say sorry. They said they were just trying to find the truth, as if that made it okay to treat me like garbage. My uncle told me to move on, like I was the one making this a bigger deal than it needed to be. But the worst part, Lily didn't even have to apologize. She got away with everything, like it never happened. It's been 2.5 weeks now, and I still don't know how to feel. Part of me wants to demand an apology from my parents, Emma, and especially Lily. I want them to acknowledge how badly they screwed up and how much this hurt me. But another part of me wonders if it's even worth it. Would it change anything? Or should I just cut my losses and move on? Update. It's been a few weeks since I first shared what happened, and I want to thank everyone who encouraged me to stand up for myself. After sitting with everything for far too long, I finally decided that I couldn't just sweep this under the rug. What Lily did to me wasn't just a mistake, and the way my family treated me was inexcusable. So I confronted them. I called a family meeting at my parents' house. My mom, dad, Emma, my aunt, and my uncle were all there, but Lily conveniently wasn't. Apparently, she didn't feel comfortable facing me, which pissed me off even more. Still, I figured it was better this way, at least I wouldn't have to deal with her fake tears. I started by laying everything out. I told them exactly how they made me feel, how their immediate reaction to Lily's accusation wasn't to ask me what happened or even consider my character, but to treat me like I was guilty from the start. I reminded them of how my mom and dad tore through my room, searching for evidence like I was some kind of criminal. How Emma doubted me even though she's lived with me and knows who I am. How no one, not a single person, stood up for me or gave me the benefit of the doubt. I could tell they weren't expecting me to come in so hot. My dad looked uncomfortable, my mom started tearing up, and my uncle tried to interrupt me at one point to say they did what they thought was right. I didn't let him. I told him that what they thought was right nearly ruined my life. Then I got to Lily. I said that what she did was malicious, not a mistake, and that she should face real consequences for her actions. I told them I didn't care if she was 16, she was old enough to understand that accusing someone of something like this could destroy their future. I also made it clear that I wouldn't be moving on or forgiving anyone unless 3 things happened. Lily needed to personally apologize to me, face to face. My parents, Emma, and my aunt and uncle needed to own up to their mistakes and apologize for how they treated me. Lily needed real consequences, not just a half-hearted talk. My parents were the first to respond, and honestly, it went about how I expected. My mom started crying, saying she was just trying to protect Lily and didn't know what to believe at the time. My dad said he understood why I was upset, but that they had to take the accusation seriously. Neither of them apologized outright, they just kept justifying their actions like that somehow made it better. Emma tried to stay neutral, saying she didn't know what to believe during the whole thing, but that she was sorry if she made me feel unsupported. My aunt was defensive as hell. She said that Lily was just a kid, and that I needed to have compassion because Lily wasn't in a good place emotionally when she lied. She even said I should be grateful the truth came out quickly and that I didn't actually get in trouble. That was the moment I realized she didn't think Lily did anything wrong. My uncle was the only one who even came close to an actual apology. He said he was sorry for jumping to conclusions and admitted they should have handled it differently. But when I pushed him on what consequences Lily would face, he backtracked. He said they'd already talked to her, and that was enough. I told them all point blank that their excuses weren't good enough. I told my parents that if they couldn't admit they were wrong and apologize sincerely, I didn't see how I could continue having a relationship with them. I told Emma that her fence sitting hurt me more than she realized, and that I needed her to take accountability if she wanted to stay in my life. And I told my aunt and uncle that until Lily apologized and faced real consequences, I wanted nothing to do with them or their daughter. My mom started crying harder. My dad tried to play the victim, and my aunt accused me of being unforgiving. My uncle tried to smooth things over by saying, "We're all family. We should move past this." But I wasn't having it. I stood up and told them I was done. I told them I loved them, but until they could take responsibility for how they treated me and hold Lily accountable, I didn't want them in my life. Then I walked out. It's been 2 weeks since that meeting, and I've cut contact with my entire family. My parents have tried reaching out a few times, mostly with guilt-tripping texts about how family is everything and how I'll regret this one day. Emma sent a message saying she's sorry and wants to talk, but I haven't responded yet. My aunt and uncle, radio silence. The only person I've spoken to is my uncle, who called me again a few days ago to check in. He tried to convince me to forgive Lily, saying she's been distraught ever since the truth came out. I told him I'd consider forgiving her when she apologized to me directly and faced actual consequences for what she did. Until then, I don't want to hear her name. It's been hard cutting everyone off, but honestly, it's also been freeing. For the first time in weeks, I feel like I'm in control of my life again. I don't know if my family will ever truly understand the damage they caused. Maybe they'll come around eventually, or maybe they won't. But for now, I'm prioritizing myself. I refuse to let them sweep this under the rug or make me feel like I'm the bad guy for standing up for myself. If Lily or anyone else in my family ever decides to own up to their mistakes, maybe we can rebuild those bridges. But until then, I'm done being the scapegoat. Update. I honestly didn't expect to be writing another update, but here we are. After weeks of silence, guilt-tripping, and excuses, my family surprised me kind of. They reached out again, but this time, things were different. A few days ago, my dad called me. I ignored it at first because, honestly, I wasn't ready to deal with another round of excuses, or let's just move on speeches. But then I got a text from Emma saying, "You should talk to Dad. He's serious this time." Curiosity got the better of me, so I answered when he called again. From the moment he started talking, I could tell his tone was different. He wasn't defensive or dismissive. He sounded sincere. He told me he and Mom had been thinking a lot about what I said during the confrontation. He admitted that they'd failed me by jumping to conclusions and treating me like a criminal without giving me the benefit of the doubt. He said they'd been blinded by Lily's tears and let their emotions take over instead of thinking rationally. Then he said the words I'd been waiting to hear. "I'm sorry. We were wrong." After my dad apologized, he told me that the rest of the family had come around too. Apparently, my uncle had been the one to push for some real consequences for Lily after our confrontation. He realized that just having a talk with her wasn't enough, and that she needed to understand the severity of what she did. Here's what they've done. Lily was sent to boarding school. My uncle and aunt enrolled Lily in a boarding school with strict behavioral policies. She's apparently not happy about it, but they told her she needed structure and discipline after everything that happened. Her allowance was cut off. Lily's allowance was reduced to the bare minimum, covering only food and essentials. My uncle said she must earn back their trust by demonstrating that she can take responsibility for her actions. A direct apology. My uncle sent me a video of Lily apologizing. In the video, she looked like she'd either been crying or was trying to fake it. It's hard to tell with her. She said she was sorry for lying about me, admitted she was wrong, and said she regrets the damage she caused. She even acknowledged how serious her actions were and how much they could have ruined my life. My dad told me they've been trying to hold Lily accountable while also working on rebuilding trust with me. He said he knows they can't undo what they did, but they want to make things right moving forward. I appreciated the apology. I really did. Hearing my dad admit he was wrong and seeing my uncle finally take Lily's behavior seriously felt like a huge weight off my chest. But at the same time, I can't just pretend everything is okay now. The damage is already done. My parents, Emma, my aunt, And my uncle, every single one of them believed the worst about me without hesitation. They didn't just fail to defend me. They actively tore me down when I was at my most vulnerable. And Lily? Sure, she apologized, and maybe she really is sorry. But it's hard to believe anything she says after what she did. For all I know, her tears in that video were just another performance to get back in everyone's good graces. I told my dad that while I appreciated their efforts, I wasn't ready to come back to the family yet. I need time to heal, to rebuild my life without constantly looking over my shoulder, wondering if the people I love will turn on me again. For now, I've decided to keep my distance. I'm focusing on my self-school, work, and the people in my life who've always had my back. Maybe one day I'll be ready to rebuild those bridges, but it'll be on my terms, not theirs. I'm grateful they finally took accountability, but forgiveness isn't something that happens overnight. It's something they'll have to earn. Thanks to everyone who encouraged me to stand up for myself. Your advice helped me find the strength to demand better, and honestly, that's made all the difference. Second story. OP gave up his libido by assaulting himself for his girlfriend, who said she didn't want to have his ex ever. Now, 8 years later, the girlfriend demands OP have his ex with her, then grabs him out of nowhere and has a meltdown about why OP is punishing her. My GF and I have been together for 8 years, and we've never had sex. My girlfriend has had some issues regarding sex. She's gone to a therapist, and she realized she may never want sex. I knew all of this beforehand, and I was willing to stay sexless, as she's a wonderful person. I've never pressured her for sex, and never expected it. It was hard for me at times, though. Also, non-monogamy was never an option. Fast forward a few years, and my libido is completely gone. I don't do any sexual. I still hug and kiss my GF, though. I don't even masturbate or watch adultery anymore. Even if a SX scene comes up in a movie or TV show, it does nothing for me. Any SX drive I ever had is gone. My GF recently tried to grab my crotch, and I pushed her away. I asked what she was doing, and she said she wants to try and start being sexual with me. We had a long talk about why she feels this way, and she says she can't really explain it. I told her I don't want to have sex, and she was disappointed. Things have gotten more tense between us, and the other day we had a fight. She says that I'm just doing this to punish her, because she wouldn't have sex with me before. She says she doesn't believe me when I say my libido is gone. I'm just really frustrated with her now, because I was willing to give up sex to be with her, and I never made her feel bad about it, and now she's upset with me. Am I wrong in this? Comments. Imperative. If this is real, your sexual development and boundaries are just as important as hers. Consider having a conversation when you're both in a calm headspace. Express your need for patience and communication. It's interesting that your devotion to her caused you to shut down your sex drive. I would consider having a session with her therapist independently or some other counselor about this. OP, it's hard to explain how I did it. But anytime I felt horny, I just did things like hitting myself or telling myself to stop several times. I did this because otherwise, I'd end up sexually frustrated. Imperative. I don't love hearing that for you, OP. You deserve better, mainly a supportive partner who's willing to communicate and prioritize your safety and satisfaction as well. Takes two people discussing hard stuff and giving each other grace and all that. This is your story too. Take care of yourself, OP. What you've been through feels a bit traumatic too. Talk to someone qualified, whether it's a private counselor, BetterHelp, or something else. It's worth the time. Price $3,699. You broke your brain, dude. Fits pleasure vibes. She says she doesn't believe me when I say my libido is gone. What does she have to say about you being understanding of her issues regarding sex for the last 7 years? Sounds like main character syndrome. I don't know, man, but GL. OP. She said it's different because she had some trauma regarding sex, and that I've never been sad true. Proper_fun_977. Just because you've never been sawed doesn't mean you can't eschew sex. But, do you want to rediscover your libido? Or are you just wanting to stay as sexless? OP, I don't know. It's been so long that I just got used to it. Update 4 days later. We had a talk. I explained to her what I did to get rid of my libido. Basically, I hit myself and told myself no when I got horny. She didn't know this. I never told her because I didn't want her to feel bad for not having sex with me. I didn't want to tell her, but she insisted on knowing why I don't have a libido anymore. She started crying when I told her. She said she was sorry she made me go through that. I told her it's not her fault, and that it was my choice. We just held each other for a while after that. We decided that we'd go to couples therapy, and when I'm ready, go see a SX therapist. She said she's sorry for how she's been acting, and that she's willing to be patient with me. I asked her what happens if I never get my libido back. She said she doesn't know, but she said she will be patient with me. So yeah, I'll try to get my libido back. I don't feel comfortable discussing it now, but something I'll want to mention during therapy is this pressure I'm getting from my GF. Like, maybe I'm overthinking, but I guess it feels like she's waiting for me to have his ex. I don't know, but when I decided to be with her, I was more of the mind I may never have as ex again. I wasn't waiting for my GF to get better so we could have SX. I accept the fact that I could go SX less for the rest of my life. I don't know. I guess this is a discussion for later. Edit. I think a lot of people are assuming I beat the SHT out of myself. No, I didn't punch myself at full force. I slapped my thigh or my hand or pinched myself whenever I got horny or tried to look at adultery. I did not punch my DCK or balls. Comments. Nick 5th. You asked her what happens if you never get your libido back, and she says she doesn't know. Dude. You were willing to go your whole life without his ex for this woman, but she's not sure about you. Tom_a_f. Damn. Good luck. I hope you come really hard one day. Update 7 months later. It's been a long time since I posted, and things have changed a lot in the past few months. We did find a therapist for us, and one for myself. It was hard to open up. I felt like I wasn't allowed to be frustrated a good portion of the time. I did manage to open up to my GF. Honestly, it was a pretty arduous journey for us, but we are in a better place now. My girlfriend recognized that she was wrong for pressuring me into SX and grabbing me out of nowhere. I recognized I was wrong for my self-therapy when it came to killing my libido. We took small steps towards having us X. Eventually, we finally did. The first time we tried was a mess. Eventually, though, it started to feel natural. We'll still go to therapy, but we are both in a much better place now, and we are having SX pretty consistently. I honestly didn't realize how much I missed it. Comments. Lebrun's balls. Well, this was the best case scenario. Hottest. Honestly, this update is so refreshing to read. It's great to see a couple willing to work through tough issues together, rather than just giving up. The fact that both of you took accountability, found therapy, and took small steps toward intimacy is really inspiring. Relationships are hard work, but it sounds like you're both stronger because of it. Wishing you both continued growth and happiness. Willow. I'm glad you're doing better, and I truly hope that this is a healthier relationship than it sounded like in your previous posts. Thank you for watching the video. If you are interested in listening to these kinds of stories, we've got more in store for you. Simply subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, and share it with your friends.